This week on the podcast for New All Ages Comics for the week of March 7, 2018, Ghoul Scouts, Archie, Life Comics, Star Wars, Bodie Troll, Crabs, and more.
Hey, and welcome to Daddy Mojo. It's the podcast where we'll talk about parenting, all-age comic books, toys, and more. Now, here's your host, Trey Burley.
Well, thanks for checking out the podcast this week. This is Trey with Daddy Mojo. I hope you're having a fine day. I really do, and thank you for listening, because you got lots of podcasting choices. We are going to talk about some cool all-age comics and graphic novels, and a book or two that's going to hit some of the readers out there, maybe reluctant readers, slow readers, readers who just haven't found their niche, or entertainment readers. Man, I love those entertainment readers. Our 8-year-old is an entertainment reader, meaning he just likes to read for the fun of it. If you could share this podcast with somebody, that sure would be super, on Twitter. Wherever, Facebook, who knows, leave it a rating on the podcasting service. That'd be great. Let's jump into Star Wars, why don't we? There are two Star Wars books we want to look at. Both are different. This first one's going to hit girls much more than boys, and it's a book. So some of you parents, I know you don't really like comic books or graphic novels because they're very illustration heavy. For some parents, that's going to be a huge asset. But for some parents, they want the readers, the young readers, to concentrate on the words and not use the pictures as a crib to get them through page to page so they can say, look, I read a book. When they didn't really read it, they just looked at the pictures and inferred what happened in the story. This is a book from Disney Lucasfilm Press. It's Star Wars, Forces of Destiny, The Rey Chronicles. I know you say to yourself, it sounds like a graphic novel, but it's a book with pictures. So we reviewed one of the Forces of Destiny books about 2 months ago. They're really nice. They skew definitely towards girls, but boys can enjoy them just as much if they let themselves go and say, you know what, it's Rey, it's not boy, girl, it's Star Wars, it's Rey, it kicks butt. Yeehaw! Look at it that way, kids, and you'll love it, I promise. This is going to be a good reader for first grader and up. Now, the first grade readers, they will need help reading most of this, if not all of it. They'll know some of the sight words, but they'll still enjoy it because they like Star Wars, they like BB-8, and they sure do love Rey. Second graders will be able to read most of it. Third graders, this will be very, not fluent for you, but you'll be able to read it without much assistance. It's Star Wars, Forces of Destiny, the Rey Chronicles chapter book. It's a neat little hybrid between a novel, an original novel, and a graphic novel, because it does have some pictures, but it's not picture heavy, so you have to read in order to follow the story. And the price point you parents will love. It's only $6. Buy it through some of the links, and you'll get it for under $5. Another Star Wars thing that's out this week, this is more for everybody. This is I always hesitate to say, it's the best all-ages comics out there on the market, but this is a really good comic book. It's certainly one of the top 3. Star Wars Adventures. It is from IDW Publishing. Love this comic book. It really brings back, for us, memories of Spidey comics back in the day, like back in the 70s, early 80s, back in the 70s. I was trying to skew myself younger, and I'm not. Star Wars Adventures, number 7. If you are in first grade or up, you're going to love this. And boys or girls, right down the middle. Boom. The way this comic book works is it features 2 stories. One takes up about 70% of the comic book, and the other 30%. They have adventures from anybody within the Star Wars universe, so there is no ongoing story to where you're worried about catching on to issue number 7 to issue number 6. Each one stands alone and is great for any age, first grade and up. The action is going to be okay for that age, and what's great about this, it manages to do what the really cool all-age comics can do. It doesn't dumb down the action or the humor or the intelligence. It just makes it's in a vehicle that those young ages, those first graders and up, can handle. But those kids who are also in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade can read it and be entertained. It's kind of like a really good Disney Pixar movie. Or the Illumination movies, to an extent, where the content is good, it just happens to be in an animated vehicle. You follow me? It's Star Wars Adventures, number 7 from IDW Publishing, one of the best all-age comics out there on the marketplace. I encourage you to check this out. And I noticed something different about this issue that I haven't noticed before. Disney has a good little logo on the bottom left of this comic book. Interesting. Because it's an IDW jam, but this is the first time I've seen the Disney logo prevalent on the comic book. Go figure. So check that out. A graphic novel that came out last week that kind of flew under our radar, but I wanted to point it out this week because I looked at it, and it's just so darn charming. It's going to be ideal for kids in upper elementary school and up. It's from Boom Studios, and it's Bodie Troll. Bodhi Troll, it's an original graphic novel. What makes me attracted to this is it's mischievous, but it's not evil mischievous, and it's all about a beast. At least he thinks he's a beast. He's a troll, Bodhi Troll. And Bodhi wants to be a fearsome, mean creature, but he's not. He's actually far too cute to be mean. He thinks he's mean, though, so when he tries to scare people, he tries to scare bunnies or lambs, it never works out. And we saw this, and it's just so... You don't want to say cute, because that's going to turn off some young readers if you say, oh, the book is cute. It's really cute. You check it out. It's great. There's a better adjective, even though it's a little passé. It's a neat graphic novel that I think upper elementary school through middle school will enjoy. And Bodhi meets Bodhi meets Collie, and they have some adventures. They get some genuine scares relative to Bodhi and what he thinks is scary. And it's just a fun example of an original graphic novel that really succeeds. And it's also pretty affordable, too, for an original graphic novel. It's only $15. And I think you'll like it. It's a little Middle-earthy. So if you're not down with Middle-earth, may not be your jam. However, if you like just a little touch of Middle-earth, a little bit of fairy and fable tales, I think you'll like Bodhi Troll. We mentioned Life comics a while ago, and that's a genre that really, it defies categorization in the way we categorize them. In other words, it's not really funny, but it's not really science fiction-y, and it's certainly not superhero-y. It's just about life for the teenage soul, which is a fabulous book that no one's written because no one can figure it out. There are some Life comics that we really like. 2 of them are out this week. One's brand new. One's an ongoing, number 11 of Riverdale. This is the flagship comic from Archie Comics relative to the show that's on the CW. So if you like the show on the CW, you might like this. If your parents said you can't watch the show on CW, you'll definitely like this, because this kind of bridges up to that show on the CW, which can be a little too dark and maybe not have things that you want to emulate or behave like or do. You middle schoolers know what I'm talking about. That's where Riverdale comes in. This is it's a good comic book for middle school and up, because it does show some realistic high school life without being too realistic, a.k.a. the television show Riverdale. Issue number 11, Riverdale, out this week. It is $3.99. Now, this one hits almost the same demographics, but it's a miniseries, and it has a certain patang when it hits you. It's dodgeball. I wish I could make a segger of that sound when the dodgeball hits you. This is similar to Fences, the other Boom Studios Life title we looked at a couple weeks ago, and Archie, because it's not going to be really funny or adventurous or any of that, but it's going to feature life that middle school kids and high school kids will relate to. The difference in Dodge City relative to Riverdale and the other titles is that Dodge City is a little bit goofier, and it's drawn in a slightly more, call it Lumberjane vein. If you're familiar with Lumberjanes, again, one of the best all-age comics out there, the characters in Dodge City are drawn a little more like that. In other words, you can tell there's something kind of goofy and animated and neat about them. They're not drawn as realistic as Archie or Fence. Like this comic book, it's a mini-series. Middle school and up, you'll like it. Dodge City, number 1. This graphic novel, also from Boom Studios. And I like it. However, it's really not going to be for everybody. So this is one for the upper middle school and up, mainly because of the content. The content isn't graphic or gory or scary or inappropriate. It's just older that younger kids and younger readers might not appreciate or enjoy. It's the third and final volume of this graphic novel. It's The March of the Crabs. And we highlighted the first and second volumes of this graphic novel. And it is really unique. It is about crabs and the evolution in crabs as to how they walk sideways. You may have forgotten this because it's been a while since some of us have been to school. But crabs walk sideways. They don't walk forwards or backwards. They walk sideways. Go to the beach and it's fascinating to watch. And you're like, just go backwards. Go forwards. It's simple. But they don't do it. However, in The March of the Crabs, the third and final version from the Eisner Award-nominated Arthur Dupont, 3 crabs start to fight back against evolution, and they learn to walk forward, not just side to side. Crazy stuff. And the other crabs don't like it. You see, it's kind of an adult metaphor that middle school kids probably won't get. Elementary school kids sure won't get. High school kids might get. This is an example of the graphic novel as an art form or as a really good vehicle to tell a story. So older comic book fans or even high school, this one is great for you, and it's really unique and utterly different. The March of the Crabs, the third and final volume, I really like it. And by the way, the crabs have not met the humans yet. So these crabs who are learning to walk forwards, they've got another thing coming, because I think they meet the humans in this issue. This miniseries started in 2016, continued through 2017, and we really loved it because it fills a void. And if there's a void in the all-age comic book landscape, it's a comic book that is consistent in the scary, slightly funny genre. Almost like a Goosebumps thing. We've mentioned that there should really be a monthly Goosebumps, and we would jump in there head first. This one does a great job of handling the scary, the funny, and the growing pains of kids. It's Ghoul Scouts. Ghoul Scouts Tween-Age Werewolf #1. It's a new miniseries from the folks that bought you Ghoul Scouts. Bit of a tongue twister. And side note, I don't know how they avoid a lawsuit. The pseudonym Ghoul Scouts, if they start selling cookies in the comic book, they're done for. Don't do it. Because the comic book is really fabulous. It's a 4-issue miniseries, and in this one, it's Camp Lake Crystal. Again, perilously close to lawsuit material, but it's a great comic book. I mean, some of these metaphors and stuff, they're going to go over the heads of the kids who the intended audience is, but it's just familiar enough to where you say, oh, I know that, but it's not what you think it is, just enough to breed familiarity. It's the tween-age werewolf. Great stuff. There's a werewolf menacing the camp, and the counselors have to buck up and start saving things again. The lineage for this comic book, it happens just a couple of months after the first series, Ghoul Scouts, ended. So the characters don't age that much. They age maybe 4 months, I think. So not a lot, even though it's been about a year since the miniseries ended. And it's a 4-issue miniseries from Steve Bryant. Retails for $3.99. And check out the art. See, it's got genuine kind of goofy scares with genuine monsters. And there's teamwork happening too. Are you down with Lumberjanes? Think a more realistic, not as funny, but slightly scarier and monstrous version of Lumberjanes, and that is where you have Ghoul Scouts. Plus they have boys and girls who are Ghoul Scouts. A little bit of both for you. This one is a classic. This has been around since I was a kid. We didn't have cars back then. We walked to school uphill both ways. It was horrible. Archie and me. We're going back to Riverdale just for a moment because these two are tentpole books for the kids from Riverdale, and they're great for kids aged 5 and up. Their sweet spot is going to be upper elementary through middle school. Archie and Me Comics Digest. We're taking a look at 2 of them that are just slightly different. The Archie and Me Comics Digest features all of the kids from Riverdale, all the gang in this one, issue number 5. You've got Jughead. He is going into a very large fridge and calling it his mini fridge. Actually, he says the mini fridge is where he keeps the vegetables. And in this fridge that is packed, he's got burgers, pizza, fries, pies, ice cream, not a room to spare, and he's still as skinny as a rail. Enjoy that metabolism there, buddy. Bonus, it only sells for $7 for $128 of all color material that's brand new. And kids love this. It's classic. Again, upper elementary through middle, this is going to be your jam. You will find this at checkout supermarket lines and at comic book stores. The other one is this one. This one skews almost exclusively female. It's Betty and Veronica. Jumbo Comics, issue 261. This is 192 pages of Betty and Veronica humor. In this particular issue, we see Betty and Veronica buying swimsuits for spring break, whereas the hapless Archie says, "I'm already warming up." There you are. Insert the drum line there. Again, the same ages.